basically. It is literally a case of summoning a bunch of monsters on one turn. It is fantastic. And it's...
Nothing makes you feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than just having the big combo.
Yeah. And just to use a really, really bad pun, it is clearly going to be a very good deck. I had to get that one out.
You had to
get that one out.
All right. You can only use it once.
Fine.
I'm joking.
Okay, so other than that, I think that's everything that we can say about Klee at the moment.
Yep.
So thank you very much for watching, and enjoy the rest of the YCS.
Have fun.
Welcome back to the coverage of YCS Milan 2014, the largest event of the year.
Yes, definitely.
I'm joined here by Rob Grayson-Hooley.
Yep.
And my name is Oliver German. I'm your host for the weekend. Something has happened in between rounds. We have more players signing up. We're now at 1,460 players, making this the second largest event in Europe of all time.
Just behind London at 4,466.
Yeah, just 6 players short, so we're reaching for the top, and there's a good chance that players are still signing up.
Yeah.
Because if somebody has been to all the other YCS this year, and he came here, might be arriving a little bit late. So some people might be like, why would I still enroll in the tournament if I get a match loss in round 1, maybe even round 2? Well, there's still the ordeal of a traveller.
Yes, there is. The incredibly beautiful map which you were seeing all of our players playing on this weekend as well.
Yes, and you get an amazing Burning Abyss playmat, which you can also see on our feature match table. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Speaking of the feature match table, in this round we're going to have 2 Germans going up against each other. Joshua Schmidt, one of the most successful European players, and winner of the second to last YCS in Europe in YCS Madrid.
Yeah.
He's playing the Shaddoll archetype, and he goes up against Jens Eckardt, also from Germany, like I initially mentioned, who's playing 6 Samurai this weekend.
Yes.
Did you expect to see 6 Samurai in this field?
I did not. Not at all. It's really nice to see one of the really old decks just come back, though. I don't believe he won his first round, but it's going to be nice to see if he can go up against Joshua Smith.
Yeah, it's all the pressure on them now, because if you lose your first round, I mean, that can happen. We've seen some guys losing the first and the second round, and then after that winning every single match all weekend long. Like Alpay Engin, for example, did that on his second time that he's won a YCS. I think that was in Paris. Wasn't Bochum. I will have it later for you. But sometimes you have a rough start into the day, and then for the rest of the weekend you're just on a roll and win game after game.
Yeah.
All right. So do we have anything super special in Joshua Schmidt's list of the Shaddolls here?
Now, as we just said, Joshua is running Shaddolls. Not necessarily. He is running a pretty standard build, but he has got the White Dragon Wyver Buster and Black Dragon Collapse Serpent.
So he's not going with the alternative version that we've seen. I think he took the other alternative version to victory in Madrid.
Yes. He's actually using more of a Light Swarm-based version as well, essentially just to try and dump the Shaddolls straight into his graveyard, allowing him then to be able to, well, bring out Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning a bit quicker, and to be able to set off his Shadow effects as well. Yeah. He also has a Felice Light Sworn Archer in there also. I do believe he's also running some Synchro monsters as well, so he's going to really be looking out for that particular card just to be able to bring those out. He's running all the standard Synchro monsters that you'd expect: Leo, Crimson Blader, Black Rose Dragon, that kind of
one
that
card
kind of
that has been making quite a few waves this weekend. I'm inclined to say cold waves this weekend is Denko Seka, who is he's playing it in the side deck, but I've seen some players with very interesting takes on the Shaddoll archetype running just 1, 2, or sometimes 3 trap cards and 3 copies of Denko Seka in the main deck. One of the new additions to this, well, not particular the Shaddoll archetype, but it seems to work really well in Shaddoll.
Yes, it does. I mean, he is running 3 Sinister Shadow games, 1 Shadow Core and 1 Compulsory Evacuation, and that's it for his trap lineup. So he's not running much there, but he is running 1 Denko Seka in his main deck as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's 1 in his main deck and 2 in the side. So he's ready to be able to just
I definitely expect to see that card quite a few times this weekend. Players are already sitting down. We will take you there in just a second. Just one more thing. I've heard that Umut Serin is going with a very interesting take. He's got this very low number of trap cards in his deck, And his very special tech, apart from the 3 Denko Sekkas in the main deck, is an Honest. And he just goes... He doesn't have that many light targets, of course.
No.
But Denko Sekka is, of course, a light monster. And very often players will be like, oh, he's not setting anything because he can't activate it anyway with Denko Sekka. So I can just attack over it. And then he goes Honest. And he said, this is a very unique tech, and your opponent will often fall for it. And I can't wait to see that this weekend.
Honest is not something you see in Shaddoll.
No.
Not at all.
Honest with Blackluster Soldier, that's a real thing. That is lots and lots of damage all in one turn.
It is, yes. Especially because you can attack twice, and I do believe Honest is until the end phase as well, isn't it?
Until the end of the turn.
Wow.
Or battle phase. But one of the two. So, all right, on the other hand, we got Jens Eckardt, as we mentioned, with 6 Samurai, a deck that we haven't been seeing lately, but that used to be very dominant back in the days.
It used to be huge. Basically, to be honest with you, one of the decks that I've not really been following ever since it had a new structure deck has been 6 Samurai, just because at one point I just completely ruled it out because it was one of those so old decks that nobody really thought about it anymore.
Well, the thing is, it has a very, very good matchup against the Clifford archetype. Because if you build a Shien on the first turn, or Naturio Beast, which is also something that the 6 Samurai can pull off with ease, your opponent is like, okay, I got Scout, and I got a Searcher for Scout, but I can't really activate them because you're just going to negate them. Yeah. So, what am I going to do? And it just wrecks Clifford. And these newer Shaddoll decks, or these takes on Shaddoll where you run very few trap cards, might also have some problems with a deck that can easily negate spell cards.
Definitely. What else are we looking at here?
Yeah, it doesn't seem super out of the ordinary.
No, it just seems to be your standard build.
With the legendary 6 Samurais, of course, Inishi, Sanchi, and Kisan. He's got the Elder of the 6 Samurai, Kagemusha of the 6 Samurai, and all of that is really just there to allow him to go for Shien as early as possible. The I would say namesake card of the deck in a way, the boss monster of the deck, so to speak.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It is the boss monster.
I'm not quite sure if this deck is really equipped to take on the Burning Abyss deck.
No. No, it's not.
It's a straight no?
Basically. Burning Abyss has got so much in terms of just being able to get rid of cards these days. It's got its Firelake, there's so many special summons, all of its rank 3s, there's Virgil, there's just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually it's good for Eckardt that he's going up against Shaddolls here, I think, if he has the choice. Then again, you don't want to really go up against Joshua Schmidt.
Not really, no. No,
a
with
former World Championship competitor, a YCS winner. He has been to the knockout portion of YCS 14 times. I'm not saying a record 14 times because there's a chance that some other player might have had like 1 or 2 appearances more, but he's definitely among the very top of the field.
He's one of the biggest name players.
Yes.
Definitely.
All right. If you've just tuned in, again, YCS Milan this weekend, last YCS of not quite the season, but of the year. We're giving away the Traveler of the Burning Abyss playmat.
The ordeal of the Traveler
which is one of the big stories of the weekend.
Definitely.
And 1,440 players came here to make this the largest event of the year, second largest event of all time. 1,460 players. The metagame for this weekend that we expected is Shaddoll, the one deck that we're going to see in the feature match now. The other 2 decks?
Clifford and Burning Abyss.
Right. You said earlier that you think that Clifford is on top of this triangle?
Not necessarily. Clifford is very popular, and then by numbers,
you said
amount of players, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of them. But Burning Abyss is currently at the top of the triangle at the moment. It's more Burning Abyss will beat Clifford will beat Shaddoll, and Shaddoll will beat Burning Abyss. It's rock, paper, scissors.
Interesting thing is some players are like, okay, this is the triangle. These are the 3 decks. And since I expect Burning Abyss to be the most dominant one, I'm going to play not the most dominant one, but rather Shaddoll because it has the best chances against
Just to interrupt you, it looks like our players have started playing.
Right. So let's take you there.
Joshua has opened up with a Mathematician dropping Squamata into the graveyard.
So this is Joshua's hand, and this is his field, as you can see.
So just to bring you back up to speed, Squamata has put Falco into the graveyard, and Falco's effect has then set Falco on the field.
Right, and now it's up to Jens, and this is his opening hand, and you can see he's already going for it with 6 Samurai United, one of the most important cards in this deck.
And 6 Samurai United has been Mystical Space Typhoon.
So he is not going to draw into some more cards, which would allow him to perform even more special summons. But he does have access to Shien here. Or any other level 5 Synchro monster here.
Yeah.
No, it's probably going to be Shien, isn't it?
Well, he's got Xian there up on the top of his extra deck. He's thinking, and there it goes.
Yep. All right, so here's an attack over the Mathematician, dealing first blood in this match. So Joshua down to 7,000. Unlike the Clifford archetype, Shaddolls aren't prone to using a lot of life points early on for their own effects.
No. Yeah, that is Vanity's Empress and Double-Edged Sword technique just set there.
All right, so he
Falco's.
flips the Falco.
Yeah, Falco's flip face up.
And Vanity's Emptiness, a card we mentioned before, preventing, well, mostly your opponent, but also yourself from special summoning monsters.
Yeah.
And since he has already the Shien on the field, this is the card. Let's bring that up for you guys as well. Oh, there we go. Can't bring it up for you. So we're missing this one card in the card database, but we can explain the effect of Shien for you again if you haven't been playing against the 6 Samurai for a while.
Squamata is targeting that Shien there.
Yep.
And
So
as the 6 Samurai do, they can let one of the other 6 Samurai die instead.
all right, so once per turn, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell or a trap card, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. And if it would be destroyed, you can, of course, destroy another face-up 6 Samurai, which is what most of the 6 Samurais are doing.
Yep.
So here we go. Jens applying even more pressure, and Joshua doesn't seem happy. Then again, he's known for his poker face.
And here comes the Naturia Beast to Joshua's open field. We're just seeing 6 Samurai completely smashing.
Yeah, they're dealing... I mean, it's one of the most explosive decks. They are definitely known for that. And these are Joshua's options in hand. So he did draw into a beast just now. Let's
just have a look there at the...
let's bring out the... He's thinking about his options here. And this is
the tech that a lot of Shaddoll are using now. It's basically, as I say, filtering dark and light monsters into the graveyard.
Right. So what's his next step here?
He has special summoned the Wyver Buster, attributed the Beast, which has allowed him to get another Clap Serpent into hand.
And so what looked like Jens was overwhelming Joshua just a second ago might be turned around.
Yep, and there comes down a Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai.
Yeah, his draw for the turn for Jens here. The Grandmaster is a very old card as well.
Very old, yeah.
I mean, he's the Grandmaster, so he must be a little bit older than the younger guys. And he can... This was a big deal when this card first came out.
Yeah,
just being allowed to special summon a big beatstick, like with no requirements almost. Like you always want to have a 6 Samurai monster on the field anyway, so it's not like this is a big drawback for you. Not like a Cyber Dragon, for example, where your opponent had to have something and you at the same time shouldn't have a monster. Makes all the difference. All right, so Joshua did draw into a White Dragon Viperbuster, if I'm not all too mistaken.
And he special summoned it to tribute it for a beast, which is attacking the Grandmaster of the Six Samurai.
And the face down card is a Dimensional Prison, another oldie, but in this situation, goalie. And my God,
wow.
Jens Eckardt with these age-old cards, Yugi style. This is like 10 years ago. Not quite, but let's make it like 7. He just overwhelms Joshua Schmidt. You can tell he's in a pretty cheerful mood here.
He is giggling. Giggling in the face of his opponent.
Joshua is like, oh my God, cameras on me. Not right now, please. And yeah, on the right-hand side, you have a Dimensional Prison. It's better again in a field with lots of monsters that you can easily return from your graveyard.
Plus, it doesn't destroy.
Yes, that's also a very big deal. So having a look at the side decks here, I mean, I expect Jens to be more than prepared for this matchup. He's got 3 copies of Shadow Imprisoning Mirror.
Yes.
That's going to come in right here.
The Max C, just to be able to issue the Max C challenge.
Yeah.
Do I really want to be special summoning everything whilst that's there?
He's got 2 copies of Wiretap, which is also a very interesting card. Wiretap, together with Vanity's Emptiness, is like almost a question of what do you believe in? What's your preferred way of playing? And I've seen some players preferring Trap Stun, because you can stun your opponent so he doesn't get any trap card effects for the turn. And at the same time, during that turn, you can still special summon monsters. Wiretap, on the other hand, is really good since it returns the opponent's card to the deck, so he doesn't really get it back anytime soon.
No. I mean, looking at Joshua's side deck, he's not prepared for this.
I think no one is.
No. I mean, he's got 2 Denka Sekka, the Maxi maybe just to stop a few, kind of ward off a couple of special summons. But other than that, there really isn't anything in there to stop Six Samurai.
Yeah, this is quite interesting. Sometimes one of these older decks that have been hated out of the competition, they come back, but nobody really notices because you're always going from A to B, and then you're going from B to C, but you're never going back and
backwards,
like what was good like 5 years ago. And sometimes I know that a lot of players are just waiting for the moment when the Gladiator Beasts are going to be a thing again.
I tried Gladiator Beasts.
Why do they not work in this environment?
They do. They're just quite slow. I mean, with Primal Origins came, I believe, I'm not quite sure, Augustus, which is 2,800 attack. When he's special summoned by another Gladiator Beast, you can special summon a card from your hand. But that also counts if you special summon another one of him from your hand. So you can bring out 3 level 8s in one turn, and then another monster.
So here we see the opening 5 of Joshua Schmidt, who does have a Shaddoll Dragon, Falco, Lila, Lights One Sorceress, and 2 copies of Sinister Shadow Games. Both of these Sinister Shadow Games have been set. And yeah, that's a very conservative start, but not very surprising for the Shaddoll deck now, is it?
No, no.
And with the Sinister Shadow Games, his Falco is already live. His opponent Jens did draw into Six Samurai United, which got activated right away. He's got Shien's Dojo as well. And now he's going for special summons again. These cards don't stay in hand, so let's take a look at his field again. So Six Samurai United, very easy to understand effect. Whenever you summon a Six Samurai, you add a Bushido counter on it. You can have max 2 counters on it, and you can then send it to the graveyard with 2 counters, which is what you do most of the time, to draw 2 cards. Shien's Dojo, on the other hand, we also got it here for you guys. Just give us a second for the card to load. There we go. And it does the same thing in a way. It also gets counters whenever you summon one. And you can special summon from the main deck a Six Samurai monster or a Shien effect monster with a level less or equal to the number of Bushido counters.
Doesn't really matter because that Shien's Dojo is now gone, basically due to a Sinister Shadow Games, bringing down, I believe that was a dragon? That's a dragon's effect, is it not?
Yeah, that's the dragon's effect.
Yeah.
So,
okay,
well,
he's drawing 2.
Good for Joshua to not fall behind even further here. Joshua didn't really draw into any cards from his side deck so far, whereas Jens has now drawn into a second copy of Reinforcement of the Army, and I would expect him to activate both of these right away.
definitely.
You want to make sure that the remaining cards in your deck are like they are all live, unless you run into a situation where you need one particular monster. But I don't think that's going to happen. Is he going to activate the second copy as well? No.
No, he's going to keep that back just in case. You don't want it to get negated straight away.
All right. So here he adds another 6 Samurai to the field. Now he's got Kageki, Kisan, and the Spirit of the 6 Samurai. And he could again go for Shien. Oh, Emma.
He's just I think he's just explaining a few things there. Now, it's rather interesting because when you think about it, 6 Samurai coming back kind of makes sense now that Reinforcement of the Army is now back to 3. Or any warrior-based deck.
Yeah, there are
Basically.
a few of these. Yeah.
I mean, you're looking more at Noble Knights, and I'd really like to see if we can get one of those up.
Yeah. So he now equipped the Spirit. He didn't have access to Shien, by the way. I was mistaken there. He's missing the tuner. And but then again, the Spirit is such a flexible card in this archetype. And he's still got 3 cards in hand, in fact. Vanity's Emptiness, a Compulsory, and a Kisan. And he again goes for attacks. And Shaddolls aren't really known to have some monsters that have a lot of depth.
No.
And interestingly, Joshua is now thinking whether to activate the second copy of Sinister Shadow Games.
Well, if he gets that Sinister Shadow Games off, he can put another dragon in there to get rid of the unit monster. But also, because that's a Falco, I do believe that its effect is that when it's face up, set one of your monsters from the graveyard. It's really just thinking, what do I want to have set on the field?
Yeah. So he doesn't go with the dragon, he goes with the hedgehog.
And sets the hedgehog.
He brings back the hedgehog from the dead. And Jens is checking the defense again. We've actually seen that players getting nervousness, getting the better of them in a way, and they attack into a monster that they can't beat. Yeah, so he's just double checking, can I attack over this?
You really don't want to fall into the trap.
This is the hedgehog for you guys, and Joshua just keeps searching, thinning out his deck here. But at the same time, he's taking the damage. There's no way to stop that.
And the hedgehog is threatening a Shadow Fusion.
And is it good for Jens that he... I mean, Shien is a card that is introduced from the extra deck, which is a drawback against the Shaddolls because of Shaddoll Fusion, but it can negate the Shaddoll Fusion, so...
But he also now has a dark and a light in hand for that Shadow Fusion, which I do believe means that he can now make a construct. Yeah,
so Joshua just drew into the Shaddoll Fusion. Let's take a look at his hand in just a second. Here's the field of Jens. And now there we go. This is the hand of Joshua.
Down comes the Lila.
Minus the Lila, yeah, that has just been summoned.
Turn to defense. Let's see what he tries to destroy there.
What would be your choice? One of the 3 face downs, most likely, yeah?
Breakthrough skill would be a helpful one to get rid of.
So Lila
it's used.
Stays in attack position and doesn't destroy. Well, he doesn't get to send any cards from the top of his deck to the graveyard during the end phase.
No, he's not going to get that now.
Lila would hang around until the end phase. Maybe that was Jens's plan here.
I mean, currently there's also a compulsory evacuation device and Vanity's Emptiness. You kind of want to get rid of all of those to be able to play anything.
There's a Shaddoll Fusion, and the Vanity's Emptiness is going to get flipped.
Yep.
This is very, very bad news for Joshua, who's now left with a White Dragon Viper Buster and a Shaddoll Dragon in hand. And
both Lila just sitting there ready to be
beaten.
Yeah.
And both of these cards, they don't really do anything here for him, do they?
Not at the moment, no. There really is nothing that he can do.
And while this is a very familiar pose with Joshua, he often sits like that. And it doesn't really mean anything. He does have a plan and everything, but at this point in time, he doesn't seem to be happy at all. Now play proceeds with the battle phase. And now Lila gets returned to the hand. And speaking of hands, Joshua Schmidt extending his hand, knowing this is over. There's nothing I can do. Jens Eckardt having the perfect string of cards for that particular matchup. And like totally wiping the floor with
Definitely.
Joshua Schmidt. I think we haven't seen Joshua Schmidt manhandled like this ever before.
No, there really is. He was just straight up beat. There's no other way of putting it.
It's like, yeah.
It's really, really nice to see something just going up against Shaddoll and just winning.
So if you have been wondering, Shaddoll, they seem so unbeatable. Well, Six Samurai might be the deck to do that.
Yeah, it would be really nice to see a Six Samurai against any of the other two decks currently in the meta.
That would be very interesting to see.
Very much so. I mean, you already said that they kind of wreck Klee.
Yeah, they have a very... They don't have, like, these cards that you have to introduce, like Spell Shattering Arrow or, like, 3 copies of MST or something like that, so you can tweak your deck to make it work against Clifford. Six Samurai, you don't have to tweak. You just take it out of the box, and it comes prepared, equipped to handle Clifford like a piece of cake.
Yeah. Although you also have the ability to not have to worry about Fire Lake or anything.
There are a couple of advantages to this. This might be a real contender.
I do take back what I said before about not being able to do to go anything against Burning Abyss, because looking at it.
And also, quite a few of the decks do not mind losing a lot of life points early on in this metagame. They're like, games are going to last a little bit longer. Six Samurai, not so much. They can special summon a bunch of monsters all in one turn and just run over you.
Definitely.
Yeah, so very interesting choice here. Jens Eckardt, he lost the first round. We will try to get him here so we can interview him and ask him what he lost to in the first round. I would guess Burning Abyss is his weakest matchup.
It could be. Out of the three.
Out of the three, yes.
It would be that. That's it, basically. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of the other decks that are out there at the moment, but it's very, very interesting.
All right. So, the two key cards, in my opinion, are definitely Shien, of course, and then he's got the Naturia Beast in the extra deck as well. Like both of these are pulling in some extra hours today, I think.
Definitely.
And this match was always so fast. I did not expect that. Like most of the time when we see Joshua Schmidt sitting down, he also likes to take his time to make sure that he's playing in the best way possible.
He just didn't have the time to take.
Yeah, there was exactly.
It was that. It was basically
like, okay, I got one option in my hand and it doesn't really do anything, so I might as well just extend the hand right there.
Basically, yeah. I mean, there was nothing that he would have been able to then draw into to get him out of that situation. As soon as he noticed the fact that he was just going to be able to sit there on a massive field while all I've got is 2 cards that I can maybe play that are just going to then get destroyed.
Right. So, if you haven't been lately, if you haven't been playing lately, the 3 decks that we tend to bring up a lot this weekend, Shaddoll, which you have seen if you've either followed the stream from YCS Madrid or YCS London, is the very dominant deck at the past events. Can punish your opponent for summoning a monster from the extra deck, which is what most of the decks in the field are trying to do.
Pretty much all decks at the moment, yeah. That's why Burning Abyss have such a bad matchup against them, because you want to be trying to get out Dante and Virgil, and you need to have those extra deck cards to be able to win the game with that deck.
That changed recently with the introduction of new cards like the Fire Lake of the Burning Abyss.
Yes, basically what Fire Lake is just such a big advantage. You get rid of 2 of your Burning Abyss monsters to get rid of 3 of their cards.
You don't mind too much.
Yeah, because you're getting rid of 2 monsters that are going to activate an effect in the graveyard. So you don't care, basically. Especially if it was like a Seer or
I lost 2 cards, I get 2 cards. That's fair. Oh, I lost 3 cards with the trap. But that's like a -1 for yourself. You're losing 1 card total, while your opponent loses 3 cards.
Yeah.
And that is a pretty big deal.
And with Seer and Graph, they're just going to replace themselves.
Yes.
So it doesn't really matter.
So the other deck, of course, the Clifford archetype, which we have seen in our round 1 feature match.
Yep.
Making use of the pendulum summon mechanic.
Yeah.
The first deck that does so, and it's also making quite some waves this weekend. So these are the 3, but then we have quite a few decks that are out of this triangle, like the Six Samurai.
Little rogue decks.
Little rogue decks,
yes.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that, for example, a card like we have talked about this briefly. I mentioned it. We got Vanity's Emptiness, and some players like Jens Eckardt as well is running Trap Stun. So during your own turn, after you've assembled your field, you flip Vanity's Emptiness, prevent your opponent from special summoning any monsters.
Yeah.
Flip trap stun a turn later, after they are like, okay, I can't special summon, so what I'm going to do is just place a few back row cards, turn them off with trap stun, special summon even more monsters, and you're back to square one. Deal with my field, you can't special summon.
It's also a case of the fact that after you've done all of that, Vanity's emptiness isn't going to go away because you're negating